There's something really captivating about Japan. It's a feeling, isn't it? Even if you've never actually been there.
Mm.
This sort of quiet magic. A deep respect you just feel.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
You see it in how people bow so gracefully. And the streets. It's just unbelievably tidy.
It's striking, isn't it?
And the kindness, often it's completely unspoken. The art, the food, even the faces seem to have this deep gentleness.
That's a good word for it, gentleness.
And the people themselves, they seem so peaceful, incredibly polite, living these really long lives. And they have this discipline that feels almost, well, otherworldly.
Mm-hmm.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What is going on over there? What makes the Japanese way of life feel so alive?
It's definitely a feeling many people share. Japan really does seem to operate on maybe a different frequency.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, just look at some of the facts. They have the highest life expectancy in the whole world.
Incredible.
One of the lowest crime rates anywhere. You hardly ever see litter on the streets.
Right. Why is that? Is it strict rules?
Well, that's the thing. It's not really about enforcement.
Yeah.
Not like you might think. It's more that, well, it's just not done. It's just part of the culture. Even young school kids, they clean their own classrooms.
Seriously?
Yeah. And it's pretty common to see older people, like well into their 90s, walking miles every day.
Wow.
In a world that just seems to be rushing faster and getting louder all the time, Japan somehow, it just whispers. It's a real contrast.
It is. That's it, exactly, a whisper. And there's this quality to their happiness, isn't there? It feels lived in, woven into daily life.
Mm-hmm. Lived in is a good way to put it.
It's definitely not flashy. You don't see people shouting about how happy they are.
No, not at all.
Instead, this peace, this contentment, it seems to be in the small things, the tiny details.
Like what sort of things?
Well, the way they design their gardens so meticulously. Or how they wrap gifts. It's like a little ceremony.
Ah, yes. Gift wrapping is beautiful.
And the trains, they run literally to the second. Precision, even their meals, which can seem simple, feel like small, nourishing rituals.
That's true. There's an intention there.
And what really gets me is this paradox. How can a country be so modern, right at the cutting edge, and yet feel so ancient, so rooted in tradition, both at the same time?
That paradox. Yeah, that's really where the mystery lies. And the insight, too.
How so?
Well, from the outside, we see the order, the beauty. It's undeniable. But what's often missed, you can't really capture in a quick photo or a travel show, is the deep philosophy underneath it all.
A philosophy?
Mm-hmm. Their happiness isn't just because they eat sushi or look at cherry blossoms, although those things are lovely, of course.
Right.
It's much deeper. It's a whole way of thinking, a deliberate way of being. There's this invisible thread, like a silent rhythm, running through everything they do, everything they'll do.
Everything? Like what?
Like how they clean their homes, how they talk to each other, how they just walk through a public space, even how they rest.
So it's not just what they do, but the how and the why behind it, the intention.
Exactly. You've hit on it. It's the intention. And once you start exploring that layer, that invisible rhythm, that blueprint, you begin to see their peace isn't just an accident.
It's not.
No, it's a design. A really meticulous, intentional design. And it's built quietly, consistently, every single day, through habits, through philosophies that just become second nature.
Wow. A design for peace.
Mm-hmm. And that's our mission today, really, to try and unearth that design, explore that deeper rhythm, and maybe, see what lessons we might find for our own lives.
All right, then. Let's definitely begin this deep dive. If it's a design, where do we even start? How do we unravel this quiet rhythm? What are the building blocks that make their way of life feel so alive?
Okay, so to really get under the calm surface, we need to look well underneath. Because the piece isn't just about nice aesthetics or rules.
Yeah.
It actually starts with philosophy.
Philosophy, like academic stuff.
Not really, no. Not like abstract theories you discuss in a university class. It's more of a lived philosophy. Japanese life is deeply philosophical, but it's baked into a mindset, a way of being.
Okay.
It's about how they approach every moment, even the small tasks, with a certain intention. And right at the heart of this mindset, there's a concept called Shūkan.
Shūkan. That sounds interesting. What does that mean exactly?
So Shūkan, it's the Japanese word for habit or routine. But, like a lot of Japanese words, the meaning goes deeper than just a simple translation.
Okay.
It really embodies this idea of rituals, these small repeated actions that quietly but really powerfully shape the flow of a day and a week, and eventually a whole lifetime.
Rituals, like habits.
Sort of, but with more intention. See, the Japanese people often don't plan their lives in these huge grand gestures or pack their schedules full. For them, it's really the little things that count the
Just
most.
the little things.
Yeah, think about it. The precise, almost meditative way they might prepare tea in the morning, the care they take folding clothes, the reverence they have when cleaning their home or even their workspace.
Right.
And maybe most importantly, the consistent respect and consideration they show to others. In every interaction, it's not about being rigid. It's this quiet, persistent dedication to these small moments.
And these small moments build up.
Exactly. Over time, they build into this profound sense of peace, almost unshakable. The insight here, really, is that lasting peace isn't found in some grand ambition or fleeting pleasure. It's built, like brick by mindful brick, through these consistent small intentions.
Us. Yeah, that's a fascinating way to look at it. So it's like they're living with purpose in everything they do, no matter how small, finding meaning even in mundane tasks.
That's a really key point, yes. And a big part of this purposeful living is captured by another concept, Ikigai.
Ah, Ikigai. I think I've heard of that one. Isn't it like your reason for living?
It's often translated that way, a reason for being, or the reason you wake up in the morning. It's this very personal idea that everyone has a unique purpose, something that gives their life real meaning and direction.
Okay.
Now, it's important to understand this purpose isn't necessarily some huge career goal or inventing something world-changing.
Right. Not always the big dream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For one person, it might be their job. For someone else, a cherished hobby like pottery or gardening, or maybe a deep relationship, or just a personal passion. But it's that quiet, fulfilling sense of purpose, whatever it is, that keeps people moving forward with joy, even on ordinary days. In Japan, peace isn't usually found by loudly chasing the next big thing or seeking external validation. It's discovered and maintained through this calm, steady persistence in small, mindful acts that align with your own Ikigai. It's actually quite different from that Western Venn diagram idea you sometimes see passion, profession, etc. The original Japanese concept is much more humble, more internal.
I see what you mean. So it's less about climbing some standard ladder of success.
Right.
And more about finding contentment and meaning right where you are, in the everyday rhythm.
Precisely. And actually, many Japanese people find real joy not in having more stuff, but in simplicity. Which brings us to Wabi-Sabi.
Wabi-Sabi, another beautiful word. What's that about?
Well, it's maybe best understood as the celebration of imperfection and transience.
Imperfection. We usually try to hide that.
Exactly. But Wabi-Sabi encourages us to appreciate beauty in things that are natural, unpretentious, things that show their age or change or even decay.
Like what?
Think of a cracked teacup. Instead of throwing it away, it might be cherished, maybe even repaired with gold lacquer that's called kintsugi. The repair itself becomes part of its beauty, its story.
Ah, yes, I've seen pictures of that. It's stunning.
Or a single leaf turning bright yellow in autumn. It's not seen as decay, but as a beautiful fleeting moment in nature's cycle.
Right.
Even a rainy day, the soft light, the quiet sound. It has its own gentle beauty.
Yeah.
Wabi-Sabi is about acknowledging flaws and the passage of time as natural, inevitable, and ultimately beautiful parts of life. It teaches you to enjoy the journey with all its bumps and weathered edges rather than just focusing on some perfect destination.
So stop chasing perfection.
Basically, yes. True beauty, true contentment often lies in embracing the worn edges, the fleeting moments, the beautiful imperfections.
I find that incredibly refreshing. It's like instead of striving endlessly for something impossible, you learn to embrace the journey as it is, maybe even laugh a little at our tendency to want everything just so.
It's a huge shift in perspective, isn't it? For the Japanese, this imperfection isn't a flaw. It's just true. Life changes. It's transient. And that's where the deep beauty is.
Yeah.
Think about like your favorite old pair of shoes. Maybe they're scuffed, a bit worn out from all the places you've been.
My hiking boots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They might look imperfect, but they're yours. They hold memories. They're part of your story. Wabi-Sabi reminds you that things that are broken, things that show time and experience, can be profoundly beautiful and meaningful.
And that's not just about objects.
Not at all. It's woven into everything. How people interact, how they appreciate their surroundings, and crucially, into their daily habits. It helps cultivate inner calm, even when things aren't perfect by normal standards.
That's really powerful. Living in the present, appreciating what is. But, okay, these ideas are beautiful, Ikigai, Wabi-Sabi, but what helps them stay grounded in this day after day? How do they keep this peace consistently?
That's where Shūkan, the habit, comes back in. It's the anchor.
Okay.
By turning these philosophies into daily routines, they basically design a life that constantly reaffirms peace. It's almost like meditation in motion.
How so?
Well, whether they're making their morning coffee with focus or walking to work aware of their surroundings or cleaning their home with reverence for the space, they're actively practicing mindfulness, cultivating peace. Each small repeated act is a chance to deepen that inner calm. That's why even in busy cities, you often see this remarkable composure.
Yeah.
Their discipline isn't forced. It's not rigid rules imposed from outside.
It's just woven in.
Exactly. Beautifully naturally woven into the fabric of their day. Almost effortless.
I can really see it now. It's not just a philosophy they talk about, it's how they live it. Everything seems connected, the seamless flow of peaceful intention. But where does Shūkan start? How is this calm lifestyle created from the beginning? Is it taught or just observed?
That's a really good question. In Japan, these habits, these practices, they're passed down through generations in a pretty unique way.
Oh.
It's not usually written down in a manual or taught explicitly in school, as we might expect. It's mainly observed, learned by doing.
Oh.
Children grow up just seeing their parents and elders doing these things, removing shoes neatly at the door, waiting quietly in line, preparing a meal with care, all done with this patience and grace. And as they grow, they just internalize it. They do it too, not because someone is forcing them, but because it just feels like the natural, harmonious way to be. It becomes second nature, instinctive.
Wow, so it's like this whole culture of calm passed down quietly, almost by osmosis. That's incredible.
Exactly. And that's why Japan isn't just a place with happy people. It's a country where daily life is almost designed to encourage happiness and harmony. Every habit, no matter how small, helps build this foundation of peace. For the individual, yes, but also for the collective. It's this underlying current.
Okay, that makes so much sense. Philosophy turned into lifestyle, reinforced by daily habits. But still, how do millions of people in packed cities like Tokyo keep that peace together? Trains on time, clean streets, no shouting. How is everyone so synchronized in those dense environments?
That's a great question, and it points to one of the absolute cornerstones of Japanese society.
Yeah.
The value of wa. Yes, wa.
Yeah.
It translates roughly to social harmony. It's one of the most important ideas in their culture. Wa means that peace isn't just personal. It's not just an individual feeling. It's a collective responsibility.
A collective responsibility.
Everyone tries to maintain balance, avoid conflict, and constantly think about how their actions, their words, even just their presence, will affect the people around them. It's a shared, unspoken commitment to peaceful coexistence.
And this collective consideration is what keeps things running smoothly, even with crowds. It's not just rules, but this shared feeling.
Exactly right. Think about a crowded Tokyo train station during rush hour.
Okay, I'm picturing it. Chaos.
Well, in many cities, maybe.
Yeah.
Pushing, loud talking, stress. But in Japan, even then, there's this underlying quiet, a calm. People stand in neat lines, waiting patiently. They get on and off efficiently, often without saying much. They rarely talk loudly on their phones, if at all. Why? Because disturbing others in a shared space is seen as deeply disrespectful. It's part of this deep-rooted respect culture, one that values silence just as much as speech, recognizing that quiet gives others space and peace. It's not about being timid. It's about being incredibly considerate of the group.
Wow. Even silence has a function in maintaining harmony, so it's not just following rules, it's a shared spirit.
Yes, exactly. A shared spirit that's nurtured really early on. From childhood, kids are taught to be aware of others, of the collective space.
You mentioned kids cleaning classrooms.
Yes, they clean their own classrooms, hallways, even the school grounds. Often there's no janitor for those tasks, because taking care of your shared space is seen as a fundamental lesson.
In what?
In humility, cooperation, responsibility. It builds this strong sense of collective responsibility, a community mindset right from the start. They learn through doing that they're part of a bigger whole.
Wow. I barely made my own bed as a kid. That really explains the clean streets then, even with so few public bins. It always baffled me.
You notice that too. It's a common observation. But the streets stay spotless because people just take their trash home with them.
Just like that.
It's an unspoken rule, a personal responsibility. Public cleanliness isn't just the government's job, it's everyone's job, caring for the shared space. This creates trust, order, and believe it or not, a real sense of calm in public. When you trust others are doing their part too, it feels secure.
But where does this incredible discipline come from, this stability, this collective sense? It feels so historical.
It definitely has deep historical roots. Japan has valued order, ritual, and a certain elegant discipline for centuries. Think of the samurai code, Bushido emphasizing loyalty, honor, self-control,
Right.
or the traditional tea ceremony, Chado. Every single movement is precise, measured, meaningful. In those traditions, rules weren't seen as limiting. They were ways to refine action, to beautify it, to bring grace and intention.
And that continues today.
Absolutely. In business meetings, the greetings, the politeness, the body language, there's a quiet grace in how people bow, listen without interrupting, choose words carefully, even how decisions are often made through nimawashi.
Mimawashi.
Yeah, it's this subtle, informal process of building consensus before a formal meeting, laying the groundwork to ensure harmony and avoid direct conflict. Even criticism is often given indirectly, very politely, to save face and maintain wa.
I've heard that even how people sit or stand can carry meaning, like a whole cultural choreography.
It's incredibly detailed, yes. There's this unspoken choreography, how you sit, hold your hands, where you position yourself in a room. It all sends subtle messages about respect or status.
And the bow.
Oh, the bow is so much more than just a nod. The depth, how long you hold it, the angle of your head. It communicates deep gratitude, a sincere apology, profound respect. It's really a language in itself, spoken through posture.
And I guess that explains the legendary customer service, too. It's not just politeness, it's this deep consideration.
Yes. Perfect everyday example of wa. Even the smallest interaction, buying a snack, asking directions, just walking into a shop, is treated with amazing care, professionalism, genuine respect. There's that phrase, okaku-sama wa kami-sama desu.
Which means
The customer's like a god. But it's not just a business slogan. It really reflects this deep cultural commitment to consideration, to harmony, making sure every interaction leaves the other person feeling valued and at peace.
So the piece we see isn't just quiet streets or polite service. It's this profound emotional intelligence, a collective awareness. Everyone watching out for each other, trying to make things smooth and harmonious. A design for collective peace.
That sums it up beautifully. That's the power of wa, a culture that puts respect, humility, cooperation above ego or chaos. And when that's the norm, it shows up everywhere in mental well-being, in the feeling of peace, in the small daily joys that add up to a flourishing life. It shows what's possible when a whole society chooses harmony.
I'm honestly quite moved by that. It really makes you think. How different would things be if more of us thought that way? Not just what do I want, but how will this affect the people around me?
That's a wonderful thought. And it leads us perfectly into the next part of our exploration. Because harmony in Japan isn't just in the city or the home. It's deeply rooted in their connection to nature, the seasons, and even how they approach old age. Let's look at how community, longevity, and nature weave together.
Okay, I feel like I'm really getting the picture now. Harmony in how they talk, move, relate. But there's still this big piece is, why do Japanese people live so incredibly long? It's not just a few people, it's the highest life expectancy.
Yeah.
Now, is it just the food or is there more to it?
Yes, longevity. This is where it gets even more fascinating. Because living a long, healthy life in Japan isn't just about great health care, although they do have that. It's really about how life itself is lived. It's about the rhythm, the simplicity we talked about, and this deep, deep sense of belonging to a place, to a community, and this profound connection to the earth. All these pieces work together.
Okay, let's talk about community first. What's special about how they live together that helps them live longer?
Well, in many towns, especially out in the countryside, there's still this incredibly strong sense of interdependence. People aren't isolated. They visit each other often, just as part of daily life. They share food from their gardens, help each other out. You see community gardens where people work together. It fosters this real sense of shared effort and support.
That sounds lovely.
And the elderly are remarkably active and engaged. You see them out taking walks, doing these radio exercises, chatting with neighbors. They stay deeply integrated into daily life, valued and active for a very long time.
Wait, radio exercises, what are those? It sounds kind of adorable.
It really is. It's called Rajio Taiso. It's this simple group stretching routine broadcast on the radio every single morning. And it's been a tradition since 1928.
Wow, still going.
Oh, yes. You'll find people, especially older folks, gathering in parks or squares, moving together to the music and instructions. Keeps the body flexible, sure, But maybe more importantly, it keeps people connected.
Ah, the community aspect again.
Exactly. It's a shared daily ritual. A gentle reason to interact and move together reinforces that sense of belonging.
I love that. Like waking up with the whole town, stretching together. So serene.
It is a quiet testament to their collective spirit. But let's talk about another big secret, their connection to nature.
Okay.
Japan is famous for its 4 vivid seasons, right? And every single one isn't just noted, it's deeply celebrated, ceremoniously.
Like the cherry blossoms.
Exactly. Sakura in spring, huge festivals just for their fleeting beauty. Then fireflies in summer. The stunning red and gold maple leaves, momiji in autumn, draw crowds, and snow festivals in winter transform landscapes.
It really sounds like the whole year is a poem told by nature.
It feels like that.
Uh-huh.
And because of this deep awareness of seasons, life tends to move in natural cycles. You don't just rush through time. You feel it, appreciate its rhythms, align with them. There's this wonderful practice getting more popular now called Shinrin-Yoku, forest bathing.
Forest bathing. Do you need soap?
No, not literally bathing. It's
Yeah.
not about exercise like hiking fast. It's simply about being in the forest, breathing deeply, feeling the air, noticing sunlight through leaves, listening. Just mindful observation and presence.
Okay.
And research actually shows it reduces stress hormones, boosts immunity, improves sleep, just by being quietly present in nature.
Imagine living where a silent walk in the woods is seen as medicine, a deliberate act of healing. That's powerful.
It is. And then there are the onsen, the natural hot springs.
Ah, yes, the hot spring.
They're not just for tourists. For centuries, people, especially elders, regularly bathe in these geothermal waters full of minerals. It's believed to ease joint pain, relax the mind, and it encourages slow, quiet conversation, connection. It's a space for unwinding, connecting with nature's healing power and with each other.
So the healing isn't just the water, it's the pause, the silence, the ritual of slowing down.
Precisely. And there's one more crucial layer. Food.
Ah, the diet.
The traditional Japanese diet is very light, balanced, fresh. Lots of vegetables, fish, fermented foods like miso and pickles. Not much red meat. Meals are usually small, colorful, and crucially, eaten slowly, mindfully.
Slowly.
And there's this specific habit from Okinawa, one of those blue zones with exceptional longevity called harachibu.
Harahachibu, what's that?
Sounds specific.
It literally means eat until you're 80% full.
80%? How do you know?
Well, it's not about calorie counting. It's a culturally taught practice of mindful eating. A gentle reminder to stop before you feel totally stuffed. Leave a little room.
It's not about willpower in the moment. It's just how they learn to eat from childhood. It becomes a natural habit, preventing overconsumption, helping digestion.
So live longer, partly because they mindfully don't overeat, walk in forests, soak in hot springs, stay connected through gentle rituals. That sounds, well, it sounds amazing. I can see why it works.
It really does. But remember, it's not magic. It's built on simple, repeatable habits, that continuous thread of daily practice. Which brings us back full circle to the quiet backbone, the design element.
Shūkan.
Yeah, Shūkan. Habit, routine, but more than just chores. It's the invisible pattern of living, the quiet structure holding joy and well-being in place.
Like what examples?
Waking early with intention, cleaning the home with reverence, greeting neighbors with a sincere smile, drinking tea at the same time, savoring it. These aren't boring obligations, they're anchors. Grounding rituals providing stability, predictability, peace.
So instead of chasing some big, vague idea of happiness, they build small, consistent happiness into daily life. Through these repeated actions, they design their happiness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the real secret. Happiness in Japan isn't something you run after frantically. It's something you prepare the soil for, with rituals, with slowness, with togetherness. And over time, it doesn't burst forth dramatically. It blooms quietly, like a cherry blossom in spring, one perfect, imperfect petal at a time. A design built every day.
Wow. Group exercises, forest walks, 80% full. It's not just how they live, it's how they stay alive, thriving in this beautiful, intentional way.
And that brings us to something really important to cover to get the full picture. Because while Japan has this beautiful, calm surface, modern life, global pressures, they bring contradictions, challenges.
Oh, okay.
So in our final part, let's look at that other side, the pressures, the challenges, and how the new generation is both struggling and bravely finding new ways to define happiness.
Okay, this is a tough question then. If Japan is so peaceful, people are content, live so long, why do we hear about all this stress? burnout, even extreme social withdrawal. Seems like such a huge contrast to everything we've just talked about.
That's a really important question, and it deserves an honest answer. Because yes, underneath the order, the calm, the beauty, Japan, like any complex modern country, faces real contradictions, real challenges. And understanding these doesn't take away from the beauty or the wisdom. It just gives us the full, nuanced picture. It shows that even the most carefully designed systems can face unexpected stresses.
All right, I'm ready. What are these pressures? What's happening beneath the surface?
Well, let's start with the work culture. It can be incredibly intense. There's actually a word in Japanese, karushi.
Karushi.
It literally means death by overwork.
Wow. Seriously?
Yes. It's not just a figure of speech. It refers to this tragic phenomenon where people suffer severe health problems, even death, from excessive work hours, exhausting commutes, constant pressure.
That's horrifying.
While it's relatively rare, thankfully, the fact that the word even exists, that it's a recognized social issue, it tells you a lot about the intense pressure some people face professionally. It's a really stark, heartbreaking contrast to the mindful living we discussed. The same discipline and harmony pushed to extremes can become this terrible burden.
Wow. From peaceful tea and mindful walks to, yeah, that's jarring. An unexpected dark side.
It is, and there's another deeply sad phenomenon called hikikomori.
Hikikomori. I think I've heard of that too. What is it exactly?
It refers to people, often young men, who withdraw completely from society. They shut themselves in their rooms for months, sometimes years, avoiding almost all contact, even with family.
Why? What drives someone to do that, to just withdraw?
It's usually a complex mix, but big factors are intense social pressure, this cultural emphasis on perfectionism, and a deep, paralyzing fear of failure.
Fear of failure.
Yeah. Japanese society puts a huge value on fitting in, conforming, not standing out negatively. So if someone feels they can't meet those high standards, if they face setbacks, if they fear failing at school or work or socially, the pressure can become so immense they just choose to disappear from public life. The fear of judgment, of shaming their family, it can be overwhelming.
That's profoundly sad. Feeling so much pressure that vanishing seems like the only option. Heartbreaking.
It truly is. Yeah. But, and this is the hopeful part, the evolving story, there's a quiet but definite cultural shift happening, especially among younger generations.
Real kind of shift.
They're increasingly questioning these old, high-pressure models of success and happiness. They're embracing things like minimalism, choosing to live with fewer things, but more intention, more presence.
So a new kind of happiness is emerging, maybe connecting back to those older ideas of simplicity and balance.
Exactly. You hear young people saying things like, I don't want to chase success. I want to feel peace. There's a growing movement around slowness, balance, being honest with yourself about what truly brings contentment.
How does that look in practice?
You see young people starting small, sustainable farms, opening quiet cafes focused on contemplation, not just fast service. Many are choosing to leave the big cities for quieter rural towns, seeking a different quality of life. Even in huge cities like Tokyo, you find more serene bookstores, small art spaces, places where people just sit, read, listen to music, talk softly. It's like a quiet rebellion, choosing presence over pressure.
And technology. Japan's so futuristic. How does that fit into this evolving balance?
They're still incredibly advanced, but the focus seems to be shifting. Using technology more for comfort and convenience, not adding to the chaos.
Like how?
And think of the konbinis, 247 convenience stores. They're everywhere. They offer these little small joys anytime. A warm rice ball, fresh coffee, a good umbrella when it rains suddenly. Designed for ease, comfort, efficiency. Or look at robotics. You see robots being designed to help care for the elderly, using gentle voices, supportive movements, adding to well-being and connection discreetly. It's this fascinating blend of ancient wisdom, enduring values, and modern kindness.
So maybe Japan's real genius isn't just the tech or the tradition, but how it keeps evolving quietly, adapting without losing its soul, finding new ways to weave peace into modern life.
That's beautifully put. And that really brings us to the core takeaway, the main insight from all this. What Japan teaches us through its unique culture is that happiness. Well, it isn't one big thing you chase down and finally grab.
No.
No, it's many, many small things, strung together day after day, by rhythm, by purpose, by community, and by this commitment to calm. It's not just something you find by luck, it's something you actively practice, cultivate. You literally design it into your life.
Which makes me wonder, What if we, wherever we are, stopped chasing more all the time? More stuff, more speed, more achievements, and instead just started noticing what already brings us that quiet joy every day, right in front of us.
Hey, maybe you already are. One Shūkan at a time.
Well, that brings us towards the end of today's deep dive. We really hope you felt a little bit of that gentle breeze from a cherry blossom, maybe the silence of a forest path, or the warmth of an onsen as we explored the wisdom of Japan.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed this journey into Japanese culture and this gentle way of finding happiness and maybe found some quiet inspiration, perhaps share it with a friend who might appreciate it too. And maybe just take a moment today to try a small Japanese practice yourself. Sit quietly for a few minutes, eat your next meal slowly, really mindfully, or take a walk with real awareness of your surroundings, just like Japan.
Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep noticing those small joys that are already all around you.